The USA Freedom Act that passed ends the bulk collection by government. So the government will no longer be collecting your phone records and sending them to Utah. Now the question is how will it transform and will they still be collecting? My understanding is the NSA lives at the telephone company already. All right, they're there, they have a portal, they have computers, they suck up all your phone data every day. As soon as you make it, they suck up all your phone records. And then now they've been pushing send and it goes to Utah. I think they will no longer push send, but I think it will still be on an NSA computer. And I think it'd be an interesting question to ask. And I don't know this absolutely, but my understanding is probably it's still going to sit on a computer. The computer is not going to be in Utah, it's going to be at the phone company. But I think it still sits on, my guess, as a government computer. It will still soak up all this data. The other thing is right before the Patriot Act, many people, the people who love surveillance of Americans' phone records, were complaining we weren't getting enough. They said we were only collecting 20 or 30% of the cell phone records. One interesting question will be, under the new format, will they actually be collecting more of your cell phone data because they now will have a more direct communication through the phone company? When I was a kid and read 1984, in the 1970s probably, I say I was somewhat comforted because we didn't have the technology to spy on everybody all the time. Now I think we literally do have the technology. And a large amount of data and information can be gotten from metadata. Some people say, oh, it's just boring old medical or boring old business records. But the thing is, you put it all together and a lot can be determined about a person. Many people are telling me they think the phone records is just the tip of the iceberg, that through the executive order 12333, they're actually collecting much more, maybe text messages, maybe email after 6 months, even the content, so they say, oh, we're not collecting content of conversations. Well, I think a good question would be, what about content of email? After 6 months, they say it has no protections. They also will tell you, General Hayden wrote this in Time 2 days ago, he said, you know what, Fourth Amendment doesn't protect records at all. That's the commanding case here is Maryland versus Smith, and Fourth Amendment doesn't protect you at all. That worries me. I think we need to have another ruling at the Supreme Court level, because I think the information in the cloud should get the same amount of protection as the information in the castle. I think if you get outside the Beltway and you ask people, do you think the government's gone too far in this? I think overwhelmingly the public sides with me. There was a poll about a week ago and said, people under 40, do you think the government's gone too far in collecting your phone records? 83% of people under 40 believe that. And so I think I'm in good company. I do think that people use fear to try to allow government to grow larger, and that the surveillance state and Patriot Act and all of that stuff has come out of fear. And I want people to know that you can stop terrorists, you can collect the records of terrorists using the Fourth Amendment. In fact, I've asked that question of former NSA officials. Can you get more information with a constitutional warrant, a judge's warrant, or with metadata? And they say, oh, much more with a warrant. And so almost all of these cases, we've had some information on the terrorists before. Even 9/11, we had a great deal of information. We had captured the 20th hijacker, and a traditional warrant, I think, could have gotten his information. And where I don't want to be misinterpreted as someone who wouldn't give permission for that. If I were the judge and you came to me, the FBI agent did this, and asked for permission to look at Moussaoui's records a month before 9/11, I'm a yes. I'm a yes to look at the records of people you have suspicion, but I'm a no if you want to generally collect everyone's records, particularly of people for whom you have no suspicion. The Director of National Intelligence committed perjury in front of the Senate committee. My understanding is it's about a 5-year sentence, but instead of getting any kind of sentence, instead of getting a slap on the wrist, or instead of even being fired, he's been rewarded. He's still in charge of intelligence. And I think he's done a great deal to damage trust. Snowden has said he would have tried official channels to reveal this to someone officially, but that the Whistleblower Statute doesn't apply to contractors. So I actually have an amendment that would try to make that so. So if you're a contractor doing business with the intelligence agency and you find that they're breaking the law, and interestingly, the courts have now said the NSA is breaking the law. I don't think you have to trade your liberty for security. I think you can have both. I think the Constitution can be a powerful tool. The Constitution never said we wouldn't go after records of criminals or of terrorists. The Constitution just says you have to individualize the suspicion, put a person's name on it. I tell people I want to collect more records of terrorists, just less records of innocent Americans.